Today's topic is going to be about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's gun control. Because I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment. I think it's a great idea. I think that the government shouldn't be controlling people, the people should be controlling the government. And really, a government that fears the people, that, you know, the people who might rise up and take control of their government again, is a good thing. I don't believe that money should control government. I think that the politicians are public servants and should serve the public interest. I don't think they are. But that's really not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is gun control, and I really think that the people should have the right to own whatever firearms they want, and not to let politicians who get caught up in, well, emotional issues and try to take away firearms from citizens who own them legally, or citizens who would want to own them legally. And really, that's what it's all about. It's about being punished, and that's what gun control is. It's about punishing people who want to own firearms legally, who want to do legal things with them, hunting, target shooting, just going out and having some fun, you know. I'm not necessarily talking about, you know, the rednecks who go out, you know, drink a case of beer each and, you know, shoot firearms off into the air, and just, even the, you know, that, what is that YouTube channel there that, they shoot explosive things. I mean, granted, they're doing it safely, but, not really my thing. But, here's my idea, because I've always learned that if you're going to present an issue, present a problem, and bitch about it, you should at the very least have a potential solution to that problem. So here's my solution to gun control. Background checks, I'm all for them. I think that, you know, especially given the fact that as of recently, a lot of people who shouldn't be owning firearms have been acquiring them, legally or otherwise, and then going out and, you know, committing crimes with them. I do believe that background checks should be enforced and in place. I think that if you've ever been committed to a mental institution, you shouldn't really be owning a firearm. You're kind of up there with felons. You're a danger to yourself and other people. I think that anybody who goes in to buy a firearm should have to go through a firearm safety class. Shit, when I was younger and wanted to get a hunting license, I had to go through a hunter safety class. Why shouldn't you have to go through a firearm safety class to own a firearm? It just makes sense. I mean, shit, I haven't been through a CCW class yet. I fully intend to at some point. But I'm pretty sure they probably discuss a lot of the same things that I heard about in hunter safety class and a CCW class. Don't point, you know, rule number 1, always treat a firearm like it's loaded. Rule number 2, don't ever point that motherfucker at something that you don't plan on shooting. Shit, people. Third thing, I think you should have a proficiency with your firearm. I think you should have to go through either a bi-yearly, you know, every 6 months, or yearly proficiency exam with your firearm. You should be able to break it down, you should be able to clean it, you should be able to put it back together again and have it fire. You know, let's, you know, make sure that the people who are buying firearms and using them, even if it's not for self-defense, are capable of using them if it comes down to using it for self-defense. I mean, I don't plan on buying a firearm, and I've never bought a firearm for the intention of personal protection, self-defense. But, you know, and this is kind of where my issue with calibers comes into play. I'm not about to buy a firearm, say like a 9mm, that if I go off to shoot somebody, if being the operative word here, people, you know, I don't want to shoot anybody ever, but if some motherfucker comes in and tries taking my stuff, I am going to defend myself and I'm going to defend my property. I think that's my right. In some states, that's still law. But, you know, I want a 40 caliber, I want a 45. If I shoot somebody and, you know, in defense of myself, I want them to know it. 9mm don't do that. You have to buy special ammunition, and you got to do this, that, and the other thing with it. It's 9mm 9mm is a shit round. But anyway, there's my ideas, there's my thoughts. You know, background checks, safety class, and proficiency exams every 6 months or every year. I don't think that's too much to ask. And, you know, if people want to go, oh my goodness, you know, the government's going to know about we own firearms, well, good for them. I think they should know. I think the government should know. I think everybody should know who owns a firearm. Alright? Take, for instance, the country of Switzerland. Everybody, you know, everybody who's anti-gun goes, oh, well, Britain doesn't have guns, and they don't have a whole lot of gun issues. Well, yes, because nobody owns guns. They don't have a whole lot of gun issues. Why don't you look at a country, say, like Switzerland, or a country like Israel, where everybody is required to serve in the military. And in Switzerland, everybody's required to have a 5.56 or 7.62mm machine gun in their house. And they have to know how to use it, because, well, they were in the military for 2 years. So, there's a thought. Who the fuck's gonna break into somebody's house in Switzerland when everybody in the house has got there's at least one machine gun in there, and everybody in the house knows how to use it? I bet you if you look at their gun violence issues, not a whole lot. You know, everybody said, you know, I've heard arguments from people who say, well, if you give everybody a gun, it's become the Wild West all over again. Well, maybe. But if you look at the actual, like, gun violence of the old Wild West, really not that much. I mean, because literally everybody was armed, and Hollywood makes the Wild West out to be something that it really wasn't. Like, there really weren't that many gunfights in the Wild West. There really weren't that many shootouts in the Wild West. It's just, those are the big stories, kind of like now, you know, when, you know, there's a lot of people shooting each other every day here in the United States and around the world, but you're only going to hear about the ones that the media wants you to hear about, because it involves something that is going to, you know, tug at your heartstrings and make you go, I don't want people to own firearms. Go fuck yourselves, people. Everybody should have a firearm who's legally able to have one. Peace.